Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a very long time since I've filmed anything, since I've posted anything here on YouTube, and if you are still subscribed to me, thank you for sticking with me. It's been a very long time since I've been on a lot of, let me adjust myself. A lot of things have changed, but that's gonna be for another video. I'm gonna do a massive life update. And if you happen to hear any background noise, I do have like the door open. As you can see, I'm not recording from, okay. As you can see, it's not the usual background I usually have. I am currently actually recording from our apartment, our new apartment. We ended up moving in July. A lot of our timelines got mixed up of how things were gonna play out, and I am actually currently 17 weeks pregnant, and some days I know I will be 18 weeks pregnant on Friday. So now that we got that out the way, which will be, like I said, another video, I finally am coming around to part 2 of my pregnancy journey / birth story when it comes to Jaden. If, like I said, excuse the background noise, I do have our back door open. And yes, so let's begin. So last time I remember, I left off saying that I gave birth to Jaden, and he was 6 pounds 9 ounces, and he was 19.5 inches long. Now there's a lot of things I did not know, and a lot of things I did not know about what happens afterwards. Like after you give birth, I know the placenta, TMI, I know the placenta comes out too. It's like another labor in a sense. After Jaden came out, I think I mentioned this in the last video. I am so sorry if I'm repeating myself, kind of. I was in a nursing, like they usually call it like a nursing hospital. I don't know the official name for it. I apologize. But after Jaden came out, after I literally pushed Jaden out, I did the delayed clamping, and I did have him put on my chest as soon as he was, after the clamping was delayed, or this, that, and the third. After that, they put you in a wheelchair, which I knew, and they wheel you into your recovery room. Your recovery room. While I was in my recovery room, I did not know that every few hours, at least in the hospital that I was in, that they actually push down on your uterus to make sure that they push out any extra blood that's in there or anything that's gotten caught in there, from what I believe I was told. Make sure if there's any pieces of placenta still in there, be coming out too. It was some stuff like that. I did not know that, and I did not know how hard the pressure was when they push down on you. I know they don't mean to hurt you, but they want to make sure that they get everything out. That happened, I think, every few hours for the first day. Listen, by the way, I was not in the hospital for that long after I gave birth to Jaden, due to other reasons, which is not like anything serious. But I was not in the hospital for too long. I also didn't realize, I guess you could call me naive for this aspect, but I also did not realize that it burns to pee down there, you guys. Let's keep it really honest, and let's keep it 101. Let's keep it 101. Let's keep it 100%. Like, it burns to pee. It burns to pee. And I actually ended up ripping towards my urethra. So it was like extra burnage going on. I don't even know if burnage is a word, but it burned even more so when I was peeing, because I ripped forward instead of back, which thank goodness, because I did not require any stitches. I did not know, or call me naive, or just wasn't educated on it, or nor did I ask any questions, because it's the first time I've given birth. I did not know that obviously you cannot wipe, so therefore they give you like a water water bottle thingy with this like with this nozzle thingy to squirt water down there in order to clean yourself, and then they give you numbing spray to spray yourself. And best believe that the numbing spray was God's gift to earth, because that, man, I don't know how people do it without the numbing spray or whatever. That numbing spray was awesome. I did not know about the numbing spray. I did not know about the squirting bottle. I did not know about my uterus being pushed down on. I didn't realize how exhausted. I also didn't realize how exhausted I was gonna be after giving birth. Like, I thought I knew exhaustion before due to my experience in the Marine Corps and being in boot camp and this, that, and the third, and how they, deprive you of sleep in boot camp so you could work, so you could be able to power through chaos while being sleep deprived in certain exercises that were done. But pregnancy exhaustion is one thing, and then that exhaustion after you give birth, and then you're trying to nurse and you want to be there for your baby, is a whole nother thing that I had never experienced in my life before. I thought I was going to be fine because of the Marine Corps. No, I was not. I was not fine, to be honest. I wasn't fine at all. That exhaustion was something that really drove me to like the edge. Not to the edge where I wanted to harm myself or harm Jaden or anything like that. More so to the edge where I was just so tired that I had a miniature mental breakdown in the hospital in the middle of the night after or it was in the middle of the day, because I given birth to Jaden early Saturday morning, like at 1:37 a.m. on Saturday. I gave birth to Jaden. So honestly, I don't even remember what time it was. It was probably like Saturday night going into Sunday. And I just remember, I just remembered being so exhausted, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything you can name. I was so exhausted that I remember because Jaden stayed in the room with us, which I loved about this hospital, is that the baby could stay in the room with you. But that night, after trying to breastfeed and being exhausted from pushing and trying to get sleep in between, and they do not allow co-sleeping in the hospital either. So that was kind of hard for me as well. So when I ended up calling the nurse, it was like in the wee hours of Sunday morning, to take Jaden for a few hours because I needed to sleep. And I cried real hard because I felt like a failure, you guys. I felt like a failure because I couldn't keep my own child with me in my own room that I literally just pushed out like almost close to 24 hours ago, 24 hours earlier. So yeah, I was mentally distraught over that. I was mentally exhausted. It was just not a great time at all. And then by the time I actually closed my eyes, I had to open them. Like, it felt like I only slept for 2 minutes when really it was like 2 to 3 hours. The nurse woke me up and was just like, hey, it's time for him to feed. And I was like, my eyes felt like I had sand in them because that's how tired I was. It was nuts. It was really crazy. I'm trying to think, what else didn't I know? Or I'm trying to think. I'm sorry, give me a second. But I do have to say, room service, the hospital food, oh my God, it was great. It was on point. It was so delicious. It was really good. And no, I wasn't just saying that because I haven't eaten in so long. It actually was really good. So I was really happy about that. The nurses were wonderful. The doctor that delivered Jaden was wonderful. Jaden checked out fine with everything. He got everything that he needed. And at this time, though, CJ's aunts, mom, grandma, everybody was still back at our house. And they were leaving on Tuesday, I believe. And this was a Sunday already. And I asked if I can leave. I felt fine, to be honest. I felt fine. So I asked if I can leave. And they said, well, let's finish up the testings for Jaden and make sure that you're good. And then I'll sign the discharge papers and you're free to go. Awesome. So By the time I think I was released from the hospital, I think I was discharged from the hospital around 3 p.m., 3 p.m. ish on Sunday. So I given birth to Jaden at 1:37 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I was able to be discharged from the hospital by 3 p.m. Sunday. Now that I think back on that, I'm like, holy crap, that's nuts. But I did feel fine. Like, I really did. I was just really happy to going back to my own house. Well, we were living in a townhouse at the time, but I was just so happy to be going back home. Finally be able to introduce Jaden to the world and bring him home, bring him to his family, our family. Like, it was exciting. There was a time, because the hospital was pretty far, I'm not gonna lie. It was probably like a 35 to 45 minute drive, and I know you're probably asking, why would I pick a hospital so far? Well, number one, I heard that hospital was one of the best in the area, and number two, I wasn't paying for it, so we want to be quite frank. I heard that hospital was actually a lot better than the one that was in my town. And I know you're just like, what if an emergency happens, this, that, and the third. I know nothing could really prep you for having a child at any time, but I kind of like mentally prepared myself that if something was to happen, God forbid, or if I was to go into labor or whatnot, I would hold on with every ounce of strength that I had in my body to be able to make it to that hospital 35 to 45 minutes away. So we get to the house, everybody's welcoming Jaden into their arms, and of course I'm really happy. And then here I go, trying to clean up, pick up, do this, do that. His aunts are so funny, and his mom is so funny, grandma is so funny. They're telling me to sit down, which I was like, no, I got it, this, that, and the third. No, first of all, I should have listened to them, but me, myself, personally, I put this insane amount of pressure on my own self, and I do put emphasis on that. I put all this unnecessary pressure on myself because I did not want to be viewed as lazy or that I can't do nothing even though I just had the baby. Nobody put this in my head, and nobody said anything to me. Nobody was even thinking of this. I thought about this. It was all in my head. Like, I did this all to myself. Nobody said. They were all telling me just to sit down, and I was trying to be super mom after giving birth like 48 hours ago. Not even, like, less than that. So I was like, started cleaning up. I was doing the dishes. I started doing this, that, and the third. I'm not gonna lie to you. Probably like a day or two after, when they were all leaving and stuff, Ma stayed behind. And thank God she did. She stayed actually in North Carolina with us, which is CJ's mother. Stayed in North Carolina with us for a month actually, which was super, super helpful. And of course, CJ's sister, which is my sister-in-law, Courtney, was already living with us, so she was attending school at the same time. But it was great having her there. It was great having Ma there for a month. It was just honestly great having the help, which now I definitely realize when parents say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm very fortunate and privileged that I have the village and the support that I need to raise our children. And actually we're both very fortunate, to be quite honest, because it is crazy, because at the time CJ was working too. I think he took only like a week off because it was like a brand new job. And then Courtney had school in the morning time, and she wouldn't get home until like 6 o'clock in the evening. And then she was really tired, had homework to do after that. So it was usually like me, Ma, and Jaden throughout the day, and she's helped tremendously. And another thing I did not realize is when you get home and the anxiety starts kicking in about the baby having SIDS or suffering from SIDS or passing away from SIDS, and that made me very nervous. I had anxiety like it was no other. So I ended up co-sleeping with Jaden. I propped my pillows up, like kind of like how the reclining bed is in the hospital. I propped my pillows up, and I literally, yes, this is me demonstrating. I literally sat back like this with Jaden, and I had him sleeping on his tummy, and he slept on my chest, and I had my hands. This is Jaden, and I had my hands on his back like this, and I went to sleep like that every night. No, he never fell off my chest. I trusted myself enough to be able to do something like that, as well as trusting myself cold sleeping. And I did have his pack and play right next to the bed as well, just in case he was to even, he wouldn't have fell off the bed. But I prepped myself real well. I made sure I had like pillows on the side of my arms so I could keep my arms propped. I had my fingers, like I made sure that this baby wasn't gonna roll anywhere. And there were times I did end up putting him in the pack and play, but for very few times, because I did not realize how tough night feeding would be. Yay, and the lack of sleep. And it definitely got to the point where I started dreading nighttime, because with newborns, as you know, they need to eat at least every 2 to 4 hours around the clock. And when I brought Jaden home, he was cluster feeding, which was the worst thing I probably ever experienced, only because of the lack of, because of the lack of energy and the lack of sleep I had. He cluster fed, and he needed to eat every 40 minutes, and I was just so tired. I was exhausted. I was really exhausted. So then he got over cluster feeding fast, but it was just for the simple fact that I was not resting enough. I felt like I wasn't resting enough being a new mom, and then feeling like I didn't know what I was doing, and then having CJ still working. And it was just a lot for me personally. It was a lot. So with all of that happening, and then CJ having to wake up so early, and then sometimes, like, not by his fault, I would wake up when he would wake up, which would be like sometimes in the middle of me being in a very deep sleep. So I started dreading the nighttime. Oh my goodness, every time nighttime would start coming when it was time for bed, I completely dreaded it. I dreaded it so much that I would cry every night. I would start like crying almost every night, or have tears every night whenever I had to wake up to feed Jaden. Oh, it was just... So that was another reason why I ended up co-sleeping, because Jaden slept a lot longer while he was on my chest, which was golden, because that's exactly what I needed. I just needed sleep. That's all I needed. I just needed sleep. So having Jaden sleep on my chest, he was actually sleeping 4 to 6 hours at a time instead of every 2 to 3 hours throughout the nighttime, which was a huge relief for me. And then I encountered another problem. Not another problem. I want to say I encountered another challenge in a sense. Okay, so the next challenge I encountered was Jaden's spit up. Now, I like to personally Google stuff, but I use Google more so as a guideline, not as a Bible, to say the least. So if I see something, I use it as a guideline. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. And I don't take it like, word for word. I'm just, I usually just read it. So with Jaden spit up though, it wasn't looking like the way I'm used to seeing babies spitting up in a way, but I'm just like, no. I try to like block it in a sense. And then I really start to look into it, and I'm just like, it's not looking right. It's not looking right. And I remember I took him to the doctors. I told him that his spit up is not looking right. It was looking more cottage cheesy-ish. Sorry, TMI, but it was looking a little cottage cheesy-ish. And his pediatrician told me basically to, maybe you should eat less dairy. And I was just like, okay, I don't know why I didn't just take his advice, but I did not. And I was still breastfeeding at this time. And it continued. So I was just like, you know what? I just can't continue breastfeeding him. I feel like he's uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. This is taking a lot. And at the same time, I was trying to pump at the same time. It truly was very difficult for me. Being a new mom, trying to do everything kind of correctly, like just trying to be the best new mom that I can be to Jaden. And slowly my sanity was starting to go out the window again, because I was trying to pump, I was trying to breastfeed, then I got Jaden, his spit was not looking right, then I had the difficulty of sleeping at night, and then trying to take naps when he takes a nap, and then on top of everything, I am so used to doing anything and everything I want to do whenever I wanted to. And that was another huge adjustment, was trying to find me time in a sense, and also having to cater to somebody else who is 110% dependent on me. And that was very difficult. It was almost like me giving up my independence in a sense. And that was something really hard for me to deal with. I mean, to be quite honest, I'm still kind of struggling with it now, but it has gotten 100 times better than it was when I first had Jaden, because Jaden is 2.5. No, he's like two. Jaden will be 3 years old in November. So since he's a lot more independent, that gives me, and he doesn't need to be fed all around the clock. It gives me more downtime for me, and he knows how to keep himself entertained at times or whatnot. And he still takes naps for once a day, so that's how I find my me time and at nighttime. Like, I was able to find a balance finally. But during him being a newborn, it was very hard for me to try to find that balance, because I'm a very selfish person when it comes to how I spend my time. And as much as I love Jaden and whatnot, I was not used to having somebody depend on me 24/7 like a newborn is, or like a baby is. So I had a difficult time coping with that as well. That was huge. But eventually I started to get into the flow of things. And then started the whole teething, and then the sleep regression, and all this other stuff that were really like little monkey wrenches being thrown into motherhood, being a new mom. Oh man, I have asked a few of my mommy friends, but people that I've known for a while that are moms. I asked a few of them questions. I've asked my mother-in-law questions, of course, because she was there as well. I asked my mom questions. I think I called my aunt and asked her questions. My cousins, like, I got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I do need help. I need help, and I'm gonna go ask all these questions that I need to ask, because I need to. Like, there's no other way I'm going to be able to raise this child healthy, with the healthy mindset, without asking questions and asking for help or advice or whatnot. And then another challenge I encountered was when Jaden turned 5 months. I personally did not know that once you start giving them solids, it's like once you start giving them solids, they need to continue eating solids. I was trying to make Jaden's food by myself, like, boiling up the carrots or the apples and then pureeing it in a blender or in a food processor or whatnot, or mushing it by yourself and then feeding them. And that started taking a toll on me too, because then I had to wait for the food to boil, to get hot, to be soft enough for me to mush it up, and this, that, and the third, when Jaden was hungry now. So I fell back from giving him solids, and I continued giving him formula. And then I finally after like a day or two, I think, I expressed to my mother-in-law, I called her over the phone, or we were FaceTiming or something, and I remember I expressed to her that Jaden, I feel like Jaden's always crying. Even after I give him a bottle, I feel like he's always hungry. I did give him solids before, but then I kind of stopped. And she was just like, honey, she was like, you need to continue giving him solids. Once you feed him that's like it has to be a continuous thing. This is what they eat next in their stage of babyhood, in a sense. Like, you go from the bottle, you go from milk or formula or breast milk, whatnot, from newborn up until like 5 to 6 months. Then you start the solids and do milk, and then from there, that's when you continue on. So I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So then I started giving him like rice cereal, started giving him baby food, and giving him, formula as well. Oh, by the way, I only breastfed for like 2.5 weeks because of Jaden's spit up, and I didn't like how it was. And then we tried regular formula, and then we switched to soy, and he was actually doing a lot better with the soy formula, which is weird because he has a slight allergic reaction to soy, and I will get into that a little bit later. So I started giving Jaden start giving him baby food, And obviously he started sleeping better. He was more satisfied. Let me think. So after all of, oh, what is going on? Okay, so after the food challenge, the challenging aspect of giving him solids, I continued with that. Jaden was being satisfied, so he was drinking soy formula with eating solids. And to be quite honest, I don't remember too much when he was a baby. I do remember him being very funny, and I do have a lot of videos on my phone, on my sister-in-law's phone, on my husband's phone. Like, there's a lot of videos that we did take of him because Jaden had a personality since he came out the womb. Like, he is hilarious. He was really, really funny. And then by 6 months, which was May 2017, by 6 months, that's when we ended up moving to Wisconsin. And we moved in with our in-laws, with my in-laws, so we CJ's parents, to help out with everything. So we definitely helped each other out. They helped me with raising Jaden, and we helped in other ways. You know what I mean? It was very nice. I'm very appreciative because having the help from, like I said, Mom, Courtney being there, and Pops being there, it was very nice to have all those extra hands to help me raise this baby. Oh, and at the same time, I started online schooling when Jaden was 6 months. And the day after I started online schooling, I know I'm smiling like it's funny. It's not funny. It's just how I cope. But like, it was so crazy because the day after I started, I had my first day of class online. We just moved to Wisconsin a few days ago, and I got a phone call that my brother passed away. So I'm like, oh boy. I ended up taking a flight. I took Jaden with me, and Jaden was there with me throughout the whole thing. We came back, and I think that was really it. Jaden really helped me out being in Jersey, and it was nice that he got to meet everybody. That was the first time I went to Jersey. No, I think that the first or second time I went to Jersey with Jaden already. So it was nice that we got to see everybody, and under an unfortunate circumstance, but you know, life happens, crap happens. There's only so much you can do, and you just have to sometimes accept things for what it is at face value, and just keep on moving. And but definitely having Jaden there with me helped a lot. Oh, it helped me a lot. I'm trying to think, what else did I know? I think that's really much. I think that's really it. I think I'll just stop here at 6 month-ish. But that concludes my pregnancy journey / birth story of Jaden, and I hope you guys enjoy. If there's anything else that you would like me to do, or like me to talk about, or like to see, you can either DM me on Instagram or on YouTube if you are a subscriber, or you could find me on Snapchat. I'm also on Snapchat with the same name tag as my Instagram, and I'm also on Twitter. And that's all I have for you guys. I apologize it took such a long time to get this story out. I did record it so many times, but I didn't feel like it was right enough, and I finally got to it now. So if you are new here, please subscribe to my channel, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate every one of you guys. I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for watching.